Here we are. We are back. The fun begins. Quarantine Conversations, Volume 2. This is Brett Prieto,
Warrior Chamber Studios, and I'm here with my man,
Taylor Davidson, Bark Bite, Salt and Light. Yeah, it rolls off the tongue. It's a good name. I like it. Bark Bite, Salt and Light. Yeah. Love it. So what's going on, man? Here we are. We're back.
Quarantine Conversations, Volume 2. How you doing, man?
Oh, better than I deserve.
That's right.
I'm right where I like to be. Right in the house.
Quarantine? In the house, quarantine?
Yeah. It's something when you have like government shutdowns and they're telling you can't leave your house and your life doesn't change too much. You know what I mean?
No, seriously. Yeah, I mean,
the only thing that's changed is, school. We haven't been going out to, well, yeah, schools and stuff like that. Work's kind of weird, but going out and doing ministry, like it's a little hard to go out. But our brother Scott, shout out to Scott Brandon out there, going out there preaching, bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ out at the mills during a quarantine, during a stay-home order. So someone's got to do it. Thank you, Scott, for doing that.
I know, dude. That's big time. So it's interesting, man.
The whole kind of vibe right now, everything that's going on. You know, we got the
California quarantine and all that stuff, man. But we know we're still seeing people going out. We still see, droves of people just going 10 people deep going to Walmart. And
crazy.
People are freaking out, dude. People are freaking out. We got people that are
like, it's doomsday prepping time. I mean, it's like tinfoil hat stuff. They're seeing there's some army trucks that were going by today that they saw that were on
the overpass or something. They're just freaking out. I mean, they're freaking out, going, okay, it's coming. So martial law is coming. So I guess, today, man.
It sucks to be in allergy season at the same time. Don't you sneeze around them.
I know, seriously. Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's true. It's true. You sneeze around somebody, man, they think they're going to get the plague. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so here we are, quarantine time. This is
unprecedented. I've never experienced anything like this, nor have you. Our generations, this is like DEFCON 4 for us, or whatever the levels are. Maybe it's DEFCON 2.
But it's pretty high level stuff for us. You know what I mean? Just people are rushing to buy toilet paper and all this crazy junk, and but yeah, I guess what is it? What do you think, man? I mean, what do you do as a Christian? Is it biblical? You think it's biblical to be? What's the Bible say about quarantine?
What do you got to say about that? I mean, we're under the civil magistrate.
They're telling us what to do. I mean, should we just be like, nope, separation church and state? We're going to do whatever we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and just keep going to church. We're going to do our thing because there's separation of church and state. You hear Jesse Duplantis say that. Jesse Duplantis like, it's separation of church
and state. We're still coming to the church because the Lord is our general. You know, I mean,
along those lines. But what's the Bible say about quarantine? What do you got?
I mean, there is definitely biblical precedent for quarantine. You see, for example, in Leviticus, you have, so for those who don't know, that's the third book of the Bible. You have the Pentateuch, which is talking about the first 5 books of the Bible, also known as the Torah or the Law. And you have Moses writing this, so you have it right on the cusp of them being freed from the hands of the Egyptians, where God delivered them, brought them into the wilderness to bring them to the promised land. He's made them a people of his own. He's taken them from slavery to this. Now they are the Lord's people, and Leviticus is all about holiness and the struggle between holiness and uncleanness. The two things are incompatible.
Yeah.
And there is the introduction of the sacrificial system. And so, for example, when God is living in the midst of them, so you have the erection of the tabernacle, which was God's dwelling place among the people as they were in the wilderness. And you have when someone would, there were many different things that could make you unclean, But for example, you have, let me go ahead and go to share the screen so you can see this.
Let's do it. Let's see it.
Okay. So you have, let me get to coordinates. So you have Leviticus 13. So you have Moses is writing this. Moses is writing from the perspective. He's like omniscient. He knows, he's privy to all things in sharing this.
Yeah,
But
he's
he's a
he's
character also in the story, you know?
Mhm.
So anyways, I'll just give briefly. There's so you have this is a skin condition. It's leprosy. So he's giving him ways to identify it. So first, when a person is sick, when a person has the skin of his body and a swelling or eruption or a spot and it turns into a case of leprous disease, this on the skin of his body, then he shall be brought to Aaron, the priest, or one of his sons, the priest, and the priest shall examine the diseased area on the skin of his body, and the hair of the diseased area has turned white, and the disease appears to be deeper than the skin of his body. This is a case of leprous disease. When the priest has examined, he shall pronounce him unclean. But if the spot on the skin is white in the skin of the body and appears no deeper than the skin, and the hair has not turned white, the priest shall shut up the person for 7 days, and the priest shall examine him on the seventh day. And if in his eyes the disease is checked and the disease has not spread in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up for another 7 days. So you see right here, you have an example of biblical quarantine, and it's especially a communal disease like leprosy where it is contagious, and then like for example COVID-19, something that is contagious
Right.
and can get to people. So what you see a biblical precedent of them separating the sick from the way so you have the camp and you have the tabernacle within the middle of the camp, right? And then outside the camp you have the non-Israelites, and then you also have those Israelites that are unclean. You separate them from the healthy in hopes to keep the healthy, you know.
Mhm.
And then I mean, down a little bit further you got the same thing, a same kind of condition where whoa, there we go. But yeah, same thing. It's separating the sick from and you have another, it's 14 days here. So
Well, and they're being examined. You know, they're under the care of somebody who knows what they're doing, right? I mean,
yeah,
so if someone has COVID-19, I mean, they've been diagnosed with it. They didn't just wake up and go, "I have COVID-19." I mean, they know they have it. They've gotten tested. They have COVID-19, and they're getting checked on. I mean, you look at like celebrities like Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. I mean, of course, these people are not too many people have access to COVID-19. They're probably, I'm sorry.
Let me back that up. They don't have access to the test, the COVID-19 test. So they're kind of just guessing right now. Well, I have symptoms. I have this. I have this. And so we're getting a lot of people going to the hospitals, walking in there. You don't, getting tested. You don't have it. But and we get the celebrities like Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks, like I said. Also these NBA basketball players. I mean, it runs rampant with celebrities. But it's like no, it's not. It's they have access to it. They got a hookup. They're getting tested and they're testing positive. But then they're under the care of a doctor. It's not just like, oh, okay, just go quarantine yourself and see if it clears up. It's okay. We're going to check with you again in a few days or whatever it is, whatever the doctor's saying.
Right. So,
yeah,
but yeah, so we got a case there of quarantine biblically, but what what about when someone's just like, hey, but you know what though, we're going to go to church and I don't care. I don't care what the government says. They're not my God. I don't care. I mean, what do you, how does that, in light of Romans 13, I mean, does it, what do we got to say about that? I mean, what's Romans, because like we were talking about earlier, is Romans 13 gets thrown around a lot, but what exactly does Romans 13 say about that? Are we supposed to be under the civil magistrate, or are we going to bow to Caesar? It's like, I'm not, because people are that way. They get legalistic. I'm not bowing to Caesar for anything, that type of thing. Or God's my president, that type of thing. So
yeah.
how do we, how do we, I don't know how we reconcile all that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's take a look at the text. I have it pulled up.
Yeah, Romans 13, man.
Okay, so yeah, so we have Romans 13, let every person be subject to their governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct. So you see that we are to be subject to our governing authorities,
Yeah.
We because why? But the emphasis is put, for there is no authority except from God. God has put these people in place to rule and be his judgment, has been instituted by God. And then you have, if you resist the authorities, you're resisting what God has appointed. It kind of actually reminds me of 1 Thessalonians 4. Now it's a different context and talking about something else. It's talking about this is God's will for you, your sanctification, that you know how to control your body, not in passions of lust like the Gentiles do. But it goes on to say, and it says, now if you disregard this command, you disregard not men, but God who gives you his Holy Spirit. So it's the same sort of like comparison. So like you're not just disregarding the authorities, but you're disregarding God's authority because God has raised these people up.
Yeah, like the book of Judges. Look at the judges in the book of Judges. I mean, they're basically they are the, and like Romans 13, they're the blood avenger of God. They're the ones that they have the gavel because they are speaking on God's behalf. And it was
what was it, 13:3 or 13:4 of Romans, where it says that, yeah, they're a terror to not to the good but to the bad. And it's no wonder that the wicked, they think righteousness is an abomination because they're at enmity with God, because God is the one that's righteous. He's the one that enforces the law. Therefore, they hate God because God's wrath is upon them, right? His wrath abides on them. So it's interesting because you do have a lot of people that they're just going to keep doing what they want to do. They don't want to bow to the magistrate because they have a warped view of what the Bible says, or they'll make it say what they want it to say so they can just kind of keep doing me. I want to keep doing my life. I want to do this. I want to do that. But at the same time, is that we also have to look at God's commandments as well. I mean, what was when Jesus summed it up, he said, what are the two greatest commandments? He says, love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then the second one was
like the first, love your neighbor as yourself.
Love your neighbor as yourself. So how are we loving our neighbor when we're getting like the instance you had when you're walking to work, or you just showed up to work? What was that?
So right after the president had given that social distancing, no groups more than 10 people, blah blah blah. This is when they're figuring everything out. I mean, they had already canceled all the schools, and I see a group like right after that, a group of 20 to 25 teenagers that are all out of school sitting on the local coffee shop's patio. It's a big patio, and just gathered. We'll double that. Can I get, not 10? Well, we'll get 20. So, but at the same time, now I want to make it clear though that you can disregard this in a biblical way. Now, if they're like, for example, I think I saw Apologia Church doing something where they're still meeting, but if you're sick, stay home. If no one's hugging each other, no one's doing this, but we're gathering as a body still. So there is a biblical way you can go about it. Now, there's a lot of, but there's an unbiblical way you can go about it, like the example you were giving, where we don't care because we're this, but like, I mean, that's a really biblically faithful church that goes about it in a different way, and they don't have the same type of restrictions that, like, for example, us in California do, they've already banned all of that stuff. They've banned large gatherings. Now I'm not sure what's going on in Arizona, how big their gatherings they've cut it down to, and I know they're not a particularly big church, like in the local body wise. I know their reach is really big, but their gathering is not as big as, like, for example, our church is ripped people. So
Right, exactly. But yeah, but you know what though? I don't want to bow to Caesar. I'm not going to bow to Caesar. Forget that. So I'm going to do what I want to do. What's the Bible got to say about that? When it's like, hey, I mean, are there instances where I'm not supposed to listen to what the government's supposed to say? Because
I mean, really, if God is my president, or he's my leader, then I'm just going to listen to what he has to say. He says that we should gather. He says that we should be able to have communion together. He said, and these are commandments, so why not? Why can't I?
Well,
what's the
yeah, I
big
mean,
deal?
but the only problem is we cannot obey one while violating others. We have the greatest. You have Jesus listening up, love the Lord your God with all your heart, strength, soul, and might. Yeah, that's what we want to do. If that's our motivation. Yeah, but how do you do it by loving your neighbor at the same time? You can't, like, unknowingly go and infect people, because that's not loving your neighbor. You can't. But then there are other ways to go about it. Like, for example, I mean, churches are doing the live stream now and stuff. Yeah, this is an unpractical situation. This is not what we'd want to be doing. We want to be gathering as a body. We want to be worshiping the triune God together, because that's what
Right.
we're called to do. We don't forsake the gathering. Yet we have the government telling us one thing. Now, we would be subject to our government unless they are commanding something that would strictly require us to disobey God in another way. So, for example, let's go to another little screen share for a sec. Okay, I'm gonna go to, let me get you over here. I believe I have, let me see. Oh yeah, okay. So, for example, Exodus chapter 1, verse 15. Then the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of them who was named Shiphrah and the other Puah. I'm really good at reading those. So
Solid.
when you serve as a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them on the birth stool, if it is a son, you shall kill him, and if it is a daughter, she shall live. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt had commanded them, but let the male children live. So you have a situation here where the governing authority is commanding something. You shall kill. So what does God say? Okay, we have our governing authority that God has raised up, telling us to kill all the male children. Now, God tells us we should not murder, because this is created in the image of God. Now, who do we listen to? This corrupt king or God? See, in this situation, it says, verse 17, but the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt had commanded them,
Right.
but let the male children live. So you have that example, and then there's a couple. I mean, it's riddled, and so you have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 3.
Yeah.
They
You also
wanted
have
him to bow. Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel himself too. Same thing.
Yeah, I believe that's 6. Yeah, and yeah, they flat out disobeyed. This is what you should do. No, we don't care. They were ready to be thrown into the furnace, which they did get thrown into the furnace.
But you know what though? We're going to be Andy Stanley. We're going to hitch the Old Testament. That's all Old Testament stuff. We don't have to worry about that. We're under a new covenant. All right. So what do you got on that?
Hold on. Yeah. Well, looky here. Seems like I had this prepared.
Oh wow.
So
it's
you
all
have
wow.
right after Jesus' ascension, you have the apostles going around preaching Jesus. from place to place. They're actually in Jerusalem, though, right here, and they're doing signs. They actually, I believe uh, this is then Peter, filled with the Holy Spirit, said to them, rulers and the people of the elders, if we examine today concerning the good deed done to the crippled man. Yeah, this is right when outside the temple where Peter told the man to rise up in the name of Jesus, and that was that first miracle, right? And then he said,
Yeah.
He began to preach Jesus of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom God raised from the dead. By him, this man is standing and well. So,
Right.
and he said, there is no other name. That's where we get that. No other name under heaven given among men, which we must be saved by. So then you have the account of them saying, well, what shall we do with these men? This is starting verse 16. For that a notable sign has been performed them is evident in all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and we cannot deny it. But in order that it may spread no further among the people, let us warn them to speak no more to anyone in this name. So they called them and charged them not to speak or teach at all in the name of Jesus. But Peter and John answered them, whether it is right in the sight of God to listen to you rather than to God, you must judge, for we cannot speak but what we have seen and what we have heard. So,
Okay, yeah, no, and as you're reading that, I'm thinking about this because I always think of the arguments that people have, because
We're actually obviously we're building the case here of like, hey, no, it's God supersedes all these things. When someone's telling us to bow to a false god, when someone's telling us not to preach the gospel anymore, we're going to continue. We're going to press forward. But I've had instances where people go, "Oh, wait a minute. So we're supposed to obey the magistrates? So, okay. So, if Adolf Hitler tells me to go kill the Jews, I got to go kill him because he's my leader. Is that what you're telling me? I've had that happen before, but
yeah.
I got to paint the picture because I was explaining Romans 13 to this person,
and they were just like baffled by the whole thing because I said that. So they're like, oh yeah, so I got to go kill all these Jews then if Hitler's my leader. It's like, okay, no,
wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'd explain to him, no, that's completely against God's law. It's against his commandment. He's not gonna allow you. He's not going to put a stamp of approval on that, obviously, because we have that. And obviously, thou shalt not kill, and you're not loving your neighbor by doing that, obviously. So, anyway,
well, I mean, this is tied into preaching at the mills. There are people like, well, this is legal. Like, why not? Well, God says you shall not murder. God considers the life in the womb a child. So why would we not speak up? You know what I mean? It's the same type of situation.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
legality does not equal morality.
Right.
So
For sure. Yeah. So now what we quarantine. Okay, here we are. We've been in this quarantine. How long have we been in quarantine now? How long have we been in this situation now?
I don't know. I haven't seen the sun in a while.
Right. Exactly. I've been too busy counting my toilet.
I've been too busy counting my toilet paper rolls in my basement. making sure nobody knows where they are. I'm guarding them like, yeah. As I had my tinfoil hat on when I was out there too. I was doing it.
I buried them in the backyard.
Yeah.
With landmines spread out in the other area.
That's right. It was just me, my
shotgun, my Bible, my toilet paper. Yeah, and my log of tobacco.
Yeah. So I mean. Yeah, because you have people that are on both sides of the spectrum as far as this quarantine goes. There's people that are just staying, in that mode. They're like,
world's coming to an end. I see army tanks coming into town right now over the overpass. What does this mean? And people are sending pictures. I'm like, is this even our town? What overpass is this? And I'm sure this is happening in like every state.
Then you have the people over here is like, whatever, dude, I don't care. I'm going to keep going out. I'm going to go the coffee shop and hang with my bros. But those are closed right now anyway. I mean, for the most part, you can't go sit in. I mean, now it's just drive through. You go through Starbucks, man. It looks like a line to try and get into the drive-in. I mean, it's crazy trying to get in there. So you have these people, but on both sides. So I mean, as a Christian, so we would fall into the camp of saying, hey, we're going to submit to the magistrate, to the civil magistrates at this point, because it's biblical, until something that would supersede God's commands, that would be outside of his character.
Until that happens, it's okay. We're not going to render to Caesar anymore. Not a shot, right? Is that what we're talking about here?
I would agree with that. Because I mean, I just as much as anyone else, any faithful believer, like I want to gather with the body and I want to worship. I mean, making the best of it right now. I mean, me and my family gather when the live stream comes on. We're worshiping and singing together. I'm jumping. I can actually sing a little bit louder when I'm at my own house. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So,
that's right. Unless your live stream glitches and then they hear your you can't hit that high C, right? and voice cracks.
Hey, let me tell you right now, I can't hit that high C.
That's right, huh?
It's all good, man. The Lord loves your voice no matter what, right? It's the voice only the Lord. It's the voice only the Lord could love.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how close you've been to me when I've been singing.
Yeah, right. No, I honestly, I can't really hear anybody, dude. I mean, I can't. I hear people complain all the time about people in church, like, gosh, man, this guy, he's like tone deaf and he's right behind me and he's so loud and I just can't stand it. I'm like, I don't hear that. I don't hear I don't hear the terrible voices. I mean, I usually can pinpoint somebody with a really good voice and go, man, that chick's got a really good voice. That's crazy. And then I usually kind of mellow down after that because I want to listen to her, but I don't want to sound garbage.
So anyway, so what's crazy, man? Okay, so what is crazy about this whole movement? Or I shouldn't say movement, is this pandemic that's happening right now, is how indicting it is to the faith healers, the hyper charismatic movement, the prosperity gospel preachers. I mean, you run the gamut. I mean, you got people. I mean, it's not just like low level people either. I mean, you have Paula White, who's the spiritual advisor to President Trump. I mean, we have
Kenneth Copeland,
pastoress and prophetess.
The pastrix, and we have people like Joseph Prince. We're gonna get into these people here in a little bit, but what I think is interesting is literally the joke of the snake oil salesman. We make these tongue-in-cheek jokes
like, oh, this guy's a snake oil salesman. He's Mr. Billy White Shoes over here. As my dad would say, that guy's a Billy White Shoes. It's hilarious. But the snake oil salesmen are literally hawking snake oil. I mean, you got the blast from the past, Jim Bakker, and I mean from the 80s. I mean, people that are listening to this, which would be your wife and my wife and two of our friends.
So yeah, well, it's all right. I'll watch your video and thumbs it up. You can watch mine and thumbs it up.
Perfect. Yeah, I need the views. Thanks. And any support. That's right. But no, you got Jim Bakker, and people that don't know who Jim Bakker was. Jim Bakker was blast from the past, 80s dude, televangelist. He ended up getting in a lot of trouble because he was defrauding all of his church members of millions of dollars. But this all came to light after he gave his secretary hush money after rape allegations. So he did time in prison, and now he's back and he's doing his thing. He's out. He's about 80 years old now, and he now has the silver solution. And it's it's a cure-all for COVID-19. So he's gonna he's hawking this on his TV show, but also he wanted to highlight this. He wanted to highlight this note in the it was almost like an infomercial, but it's a show. But in his show that can cure venereal diseases. It cures venereal diseases, and he heard those can be very painful.
I heard the venereal diseases can be painful.
A friend of mine, I
Yeah,
know,
that's right.
has
Yeah, a friend of mine went to the doctor one time and had something going on. He said it really burned. So anyway, but he got shut down immediately because he was hawking this junk, and the FDA was like, no. So, lo siento, señor, not on our watch. You're not gonna be hawking your snake oil, buddy. Sorry. So they sent a cease and desist order of, sorry, no bueno, señor. So then there's another dude. He's not in the charismatic camp, but he is a charismatic man. He's got Alex Jones. He got Alex Jones. He's got the
nano silver. It's a toothpaste. We got this nano silver toothpaste, and it's going to be in all the WalMarts. The Pentagon's already looked at it. It's been out 13 years, and it's supposed to kill. It kills COVID-19. It killed SARS, and SARS is and COVID-19 is a mutation of SARS, and I think it's hilarious. Every time I hear Alex Jones, like I kind of get like. I get nostalgic because I keep thinking he's like he's calling out like Macho Man Randy Savage, like circa SummerSlam 1991. He's like, yeah, and Randy Savage, you better have that nano silver ready because I'm gonna be like COVID-19 when I come at you at SummerSlam. Like he sounds like he's like a wrestler. His voice is crazy, but I mean, so he
slapped with his deal from the FDA too. Like, look, you're not gonna be selling your snake oil. Stop doing that, right? And he's already, and you know him though. I mean, he's hyper conspiracy theorist guy. I mean, he's on Joe Rogan and he's talking about green little men running around and everything else. I mean, he's out there, you know, he is a conspiracy theorist, and that's who he is. But I mean, anyway, we have these people out there that are hawking this stuff. And then you have the hydrochloroquine, right? You have this hydrochloroquine.
Goodness gracious.
That people are So what happened? What happened in Arizona? What happened in Arizona? What did these genius people do in Arizona with the hydrochloroquine?
Well, so Trump makes an announcement about something that they're seeing promising results from, and these rocket scientists picked up a bottle of something that they had seen that. They had read it somewhere, and they would start reading this thing, and they're, oh, by golly, it's in this, and they proceed to drink it, and it turns out to be fish tank cleaner that they're drinking that has it sort of sounds like the same thing, but it's a compound of it, and not to mention all the other ingredients that are inside that fish tank cleaner that you're going to drink. You know, I don't know. You should. No one in their right mind would drink fish tank cleaner, even if it has something that sounds like something that might help. No. No one in their right mind drinks fish tank cleaner to cure a disease that. What the thing is that the very interesting thing is they didn't even have COVID-19. They were drinking it for preventative measures.
Yeah. Come on, dude. Yeah, let's get real. It's analogous to going reading Paul say, take a little wine for your stomach, and then you going, wine, it has alcohol in it. Then you go to your bathroom and find the rubbing alcohol bottle and go, oh, alcohol. Yeah. He said take a little wine for your stomach. Maybe alcohol. Yeah, I'll go ahead and drink this. And then you suck down you suck down the alcohol that's underneath right next to the bleach in your bathroom. I mean, come on, guys, let's get real. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it was that craziness going on. People freaking out, taking from fish tank. But I mean, this is a time now where we're seeing the clown car of the COVID-19 false prophets. I mean, really being exposed. I mean, it's unbelievable how we're looking.
What an indictment this is on the hyper charismatic prosperity gospel. I mean, these are the people that are claiming that you can name it, claim it, blab it, grab it, confess it, possess it, and you just got to speak it into existence. And shoot, if you can speak something into existence, you can speak something out of existence. Why aren't they speaking COVID-19 out of existence? I don't understand.
I mean,
Well, the craziest thing is with how many prophetic words. I mean, you look at some of these people's like YouTubes and stuff. It's like prophetic word October 2019, prophetic word November 2019. It's like literally every single one, right? So you have all this, but none of them saw this coming. Or did they?
yeah, right. Or did they? Or did they? Someone we're gonna see today or tonight, I guess you could say, is he sort of saw it coming. But before we get to the clips, I mean, there's a few people that, I mean, we just kind of have to highlight. I mean, really, I think it's important that we have to highlight Paula White. I mean, Paula White, she's been in the limelight
for a little bit now because she's Trump's spiritual advisor. I mean, this woman is a pastorix prophetess, and this woman right now is asking for a Psalm 91 donation of $91. That's always a popular sport with the in the prosperity gospel movement. Yeah. So you're Isaiah 46:10 seed right now, and because I'm Rod Parsley, you know what I mean? That.
What I would do, I'd be like, where's the longest one? Psalm 119.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's the most verses I can get out of this?
Right. And that's the thing too. She's asking for a Psalm 91 donation of $91 for
a spiritual hospital that doesn't even exist, because obviously she's like, people are sick and they're hurting, but people are also spiritually sick, and you can send your donation to paulawhite.org, and then she send it, funnel it right to, with her checking account, just funnel it right into their little e-check, boom, right to her account.
But she actually, being the prophetess, I don't know, like you said, I don't know how these people didn't see this coming, but how come they didn't see a cancellation coming of her COVID-19 spiritual protection conference that she was having April 20th? That got canceled. So how are we not seeing that? How's she not
seeing that? I don't understand. How come she's not sounding the alarm going, oh, wait.
She only put a hedge of protection. She didn't put should have put like a barbed wire fence or something.
She should have sowed a bigger seed. Sowed a bigger seed in my bank account. That'd have been nice.
Do you think they I mean, their whole philosophy is like, hey, you better sow a seed so God will, multiply your bank account. I wonder if they really truly believe this too, and they're sowing these seeds into their own. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, no, seriously. No, that's what I don't get. And you still have right now, I mean, she's still asking people for money when you have you have a pandemic happening. A pandemic that Shawn Bolz said was not going to happen. It's not going to be the pandemic. Shawn Bolz is the
dude from LA. I mean, he's a celebrity pastor. He's one of these guys that teams with Bethel. He's one of those people that will team with Bethel, and he will get prophecy with his cell phone in his hand and do cold readings of, is there a John here? I'm John. Oh, hey, John, did you recently have someone pass away? No. Well, did you have a friend that had someone pass away? Yeah. I mean, it's like the most
vague things on the planet. It's just a cold read, like some sort of, like some sort of palm reader's doing. But he teams up with Bethel, but he recently, it was like a month ago, I think it was March 30. So this isn't going to be the pandemic that we think it's going to be. Actually, God's turning the tide. He said God is turning the tide, and there's going to be basically a serum that's going to come out of Asia and Israel. There's going to be that, because I was in prayer and that was revealed to me.
So he's already preempted for false prophecy. So we'll see. We'll see if the cure does come out of, if it does come out of Asia or Israel. So, you there? Hold on, we're paused out right now.
We're good now. Okay, where did I lose you at?
Asia or Israel? The serum coming out of.
Yeah. So he said the cure is going to be coming out of there. The cure is going to be coming out of Asia or Israel. So we'll see.
One of the
preempting for false prophecy. Yeah, right. Yeah, one of those. So somewhere in there. And then you have like Rodney Howard Brown. We talked about him last week for a little bit. Rodney Howard Brown said that
he when what was that? What was that virus that came around in Florida? It was Zika or Zika. It was the Zika virus. He said that he basically spoke that out of existence. Zika. The power of positive confession spoke that out. But so he basically did the same thing for Florida in the United States. This was like 2 months ago, back in February. He's like, hey, COVID-19, it's becoming a big deal, but we've already
basically gave it a protection. We have a special anointing and spoke this thing out, just like we did with Zika. That was 2 months ago. Now we are we're number one, number one right now.
Number one in the world.
Number one in the world for COVID-19. So false prophecy.
Hey, this is a random side note. What's funny is, I mean, there was I think I saw a thing on David Wood's YouTube. It was like the Islam that the Imam was there, and he's like, Allah is protecting the Muslims from it, and he was cheering on like deaths of non-Muslims for like it was God's judgment. It was, or Allah's judgment against them. But it was funny because he's like, and then David Wood's like logically playing it out. He's like, well, first the Imam said it was God's judgment against China, but then it starts spreading to all these areas, right? So, well, it's God's judgment against all other non-Muslims. He's like, but look, God's protecting Allah, because it's not the same God. Allah is protecting all the Muslims, but then he logically plays it out, and he's like, hey, so the places with the most flights out of it go into the most places. Of course, you logically think that, look at these people who contract the virus, they fly over here, and then it gets spread. And then these places that fly to other places, of course, there are no flights into Gaza from anywhere. Of course. And then right after the guy stated that, 2 days later, two people in Gaza, and it's just like widespread again too.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a random side note. I wanted to share it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, it's funny. Yeah, but it's with the going back to the prosperity.
I derailed us for a second.
Because that's where we. What's that?
Before I derailed us for a second. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
We'll cut that out.
No, it was good because we were talking about Rodney Howard Brown, how he's saying that, oh yeah, we're not going to get it. Then he got the same Muslim guy doing the same thing. So now it was good.
But yeah, I mean, real quick though, going back to Paula White, I don't want to stay on her too much, but Paula White, she's been under some controversy. I mean, she's been married a couple times. She's a female pastorix, and she's had false prophecies, and she would agree that Jesus isn't the only Son of God. But what's crazy is recently she was filmed doing a prayer at one of these, dog and pony show type smoke lights, the whole thing, like basically it's like a Hillsong type church, and she's praying that God would cause miscarriages to satanic wombs.
Yeah.
Cause yeah. Let's
murder the babies, right? Let's murder the babies out there. That's just
that reminds me of being out of the
sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what happens if it's a case of rape? Doesn't that make it okay? In what, like logically think about that. In what case where someone commits a crime does the victim get punished? You know what I mean? Because you think about it, like who is the victim in a rape situation where a child is conceived? You have the mother, and then you have the rapist, right? He rapes, he's now the father, and this baby is a victim in the case. So let's kill the baby.
What? Let's kill the baby. Yeah, and that, I mean, really, it's you look at Proverbs. I think it's 15:17 or 17:58. I always get those flop, but it's an abomination, right? God we acquit the guilty, but we condemn the innocent, and it's an abomination to the Lord. I mean, it's just an atrocity. It's like me. The whole thing's that whole way of thinking is analogous to me committing a crime. I go out there and I shoot somebody point blank in the head. I go to my house. And then they go, okay, we're going to arrest your daughter. Let's put her to death. She gets a death penalty because of your crime. And she's going, wait, what do you mean? My dad did it. Well, yeah, but I mean, you're the kid. Let's just kill the kid for the crime that you committed, right? So, I mean, we're punishing. It's like the sins of the father. The sins of the father are going to fall on the child. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's probably a bad analogy, but at the same time, you catch my drift. It's like we're punishing the child for something the dad did, right? Oh, it's because you might end up like your dad, so therefore we're going to kill you because he killed somebody. Therefore, you're probably going to kill somebody later too. So, because that's what you get at the mill, right? Because like, well, it's probably a bad seed. That's a bad seed right there. Let's just kill it in its tracks because there's just gonna be more of these little bad little kids out there. But you go, dude, we're all sinners, we're all wicked, but it's just a matter of degree of our wickedness, right? So anyway, yeah. So I wanted to share the Paula White thing. I thought that was strange. I went, oh my gosh. I mean, not just strange. It was just it's sickening, for someone to say that, for her to be praying to God, who she hears from, who she has conversation with, and he's going to sign off on that prayer. I mean, she would probably say that, like, oh yeah, totally, God's going to hear my prayer because I'm tuned into the right frequency. So this whole time right now, this whole pandemic, it's again, it's been it's been indicting for these prosperity pastors because they can't do anything. You have guys like Kenneth Copeland who said they can speak things into existence where they're somebody who would who was friends with Oral Roberts, who said to speak to your billfold, and money's gonna grow in your billfold. And Kenneth Copeland says he can control the weather, basically, and it says so does his wife Gloria Copeland, that she's seen him that he's seen him speak a tornado out of existence, where just controlling the weather. And you got guys like Todd White that are just the only spiritual gift that he has, the only miracle he's performing is leg lengthening. So he's out there lengthening.
There is a huge pandemic of short legs in this world. You haven't noticed that?
It's crazy. It's crazy because this guy is
more widespread than Corona.
It's way more widespread, and he's filming every incident that he can. Where, hey, you got one leg. Did you know you got one leg shorter than the other? And he's able to grow them out.
You got a lazy eye? Bet you got a short leg.
That's right. No, that's the thing. It's so weird. He says that Kenneth Copeland's a spiritual father, and
Kenneth Copeland was he goes, I was just blown, because when I heard you speak, I was just blown away. I was, be careful now. I wouldn't say that, because one time I was preaching. And
someone said, I was so blown away by what you said. I was blown away by what you said. Because Kenneth Copeland, he always gets the snake eyes going. And I was blown. He goes, and right when I said that, a tornado came through and blew her away. And then Todd White goes, well, I'll just let you do the talking then. It's like, we're really going to buy this? I mean, come on, man. This guy's saying that he basically just spoke a tornado into existence. Just spoke it in. No big deal. So where's this guy with Hurricane Katrina? Where is this guy?
Don't you know though? If you have faith the size of mustard, you can move a mountain.
Oh, right. Yeah. You can move mountains. Joel Osteen all day. Yeah, you can move.
The only thing with Kenneth Copeland is he's serious.
No, he's dead serious. Mountain. Yeah, you can move that mountain
left if you want.
Well, that's the thing is, and what's funny, that there's nothing biblical about what he's saying. It's all New Age. It's all New Age garbage. I mean, you go back to Phineas Parker's Quimby, to Essex W. Kenyon, and all the way up to his hero, Hagen.
Hagen's the father of that. They call him Daddy Hagen. I think Gloria Copeland calls him Daddy Hagen. Joseph Prince, I think, even tips his hat to Hagen. But yeah, Hagen was the guy that was the father of all these Word of Faith prosperity gospel guys, and he's the one that basically taught them this theology of blab it and grab it, name it and claim it, and if you don't have enough faith, that's the thing, is if you buy into fear. I was listening to Kenneth Copeland talk about this. If you buy into fear, you're committing a sin and you lack faith, and basically,
if you're not healed, that's the thing, is if you're not healed, you didn't have enough faith, which is a totally bunk argument, because you look at John 5, the guy, the lame man at the pool of Bethesda, at Bethesda, he doesn't even know who Jesus was. So how did that guy have any faith at all? They're like, hey, who healed you? Who told you to pick up your bed and walk? And he's like, some dude did. So it's like, oh yeah, where was his faith? He had zero faith. He didn't know who he was. So I mean, that whole thing just it just flies in the face of all the charismatic prosperity gospel guys. And again, where's the healer?
Right? Where are the healers at? I mean, these healers should, if they're not going out there and healing all these people with COVID-19, they're not going to Clovis Community Hospital, they're not going to CRMC, whatever hospitals around. I mean, they're blaspheming the Holy Spirit. They're blaspheming the Holy Spirit, because they are going against what His will is, right? Because they should be healing. That's their gift. They should be the healer. They should be. They should literally. People should be falling in their shadows like Peter, and they should be getting healed.
Well, so it's hard to. I mean, at least we were warned. That's all I have to say. At least we were warned. It's really our fault, because we should have saw this coming. Because I mean, I'll just roll the clip.
Now, where we are at, I'm so glad, because the year has been transformed us with this crisis of this virus, but God is always ahead of the devil. In fact, 2 years ago, in one of my messages, I actually, something when I preach is in the spirit of prophecy. I'll prophesy about the future.
I can't get it to pause. There we go. All right. Am I sharing with you?
No. Yeah. No, I saw it. We're good, right? I see you.
Yeah, it's just a weird, the camera thing's not doing what it normally does, but it'll work. Okay. So, interesting thing. Well, go ahead.
Oh, as I say, he was preaching in the spirit of prophecy, he said.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, right. So what were we going to say?
I'm going to back it up. I don't understand where I don't know where your little face cam is. It disappeared. Oh, well, I might lose you for a second. Okay. Anyways.
In fact, 2 years ago, in one of my messages, I actually, something when I preach is in the spirit of prophecy. I'll prophesy about the future. And you know, this virus thing happened towards the end of last year, which is still 2019. That's why they call it COVID-19. All right. But in 2018, I sort of prophesied.
In 2018, he sort of prophesied. He sort of did. Okay.
Sort of.
You know, okay.
It's like 50% prophecy. So the thing is, I don't know what a sort of prophecy looks like. That's like the babe walking up to the plate. You know the story, but it's just he calls his shot, and what happens? But a little dribbler just past first base. You know what I mean? I hit it, didn't I?
Yeah, I made contact. What's the big deal? It was in the direction I pointed. I mean, he's on the ground, didn't go to the park, but hey, whatever, dude. It's all good. So, but you know what though, man? Hey, we all make mistakes. We're all human. So what? I mean, look at Peter, dude. Peter made mistakes. He denied the Lord 3 times. What's the big deal? Who cares?
Well,
so what?
We don't even know we don't even know yet. Maybe he does prophesy.
Okay.
He says he sort of prophesied. I think he was setting up for the failure, but we'll see.
Maybe.
Sit back, watch. And so obviously God has done something in the spirit world. God has released a healing anointing, a new strain, if you would, of healing. He will perform such things such feats that we have never seen before. The devil is afraid and he's playing catch up. He's trying to create a new strain of virus.
So again, I think he mentioned that right at the beginning too. He said he blamed it on the devil as well. So COVID-19 is the devil's doing. Like, you know, it's not what the scripture says. God, from what I read in this, is that God is in control. down to the littlest minute detail, Nothing
Oh
catches him by
yeah.
surprise.
Yeah, I mean, no, not at all, because he's even the wicked are made for the day of disaster. I mean, we cast lots, but he determines how they fall. Uh, we um, we are we make our own decisions, but the Lord gives the right answer, right? I mean, there's so many passages that we have about God's sovereignty, how He has His hands and everything. I mean,
I've heard this.
A king's hand is a stream of water in the hand of, or the king's heart is a stream of water in the hand of the Lord. The Lord turns it wherever He will.
Wherever He wills. Yeah, I mean, we have so many instances like that in Scripture. I mean, you look at just like Proverbs 16. I was quoting a few things from there about the lots being cast. Wicked set up the day of disaster.
Yeah.
We make our own plans, but the Lord gives the right answer. I mean, there's so many different things we can go through. But
I mean, this is not uncommon. I mean, we see this not only with the prosperity gospel people. A lot of people in the charismatic movement, they want to get God off the hook. They're like, no. See, God wouldn't do that. No. This is all Satan. Satan did that. Satan gave him cancer. Satan did this, and the idea it's
as if God and Satan are it's a type of dualism where God and Satan are on par. They're involved in some sort of some sort of round of Super Street Fighter, and we are the one that are dictating this whole thing. If I'm a prosperity gospel guy, because I'm speaking things into existence, only I can allow God access to this world. And it's kind of like with Miles Monroe. I don't know if you remember Miles Monroe. He was a prosperity guy, charismatic dude, and he was on a show with Benny Hinn one time, and he was saying that God can do nothing on earth without man's permission. So we basically have to invite God to the party. So because we have control, because we can speak things in and speak things out. Again, it's like playing Super Street Fighter, right? It's like you got the joysticks and Satan and God are in this battle, and all you got to do is press back A, and he's gonna do the flying punch. You know what I mean? It's like because you say so. And I mean, it's interesting because it is a type
when the roles are actually completely reversed.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
completely reversed. I mean, you have a created being. Satan's created. He's
not equal with God. I mean, what these guys do. This is Gnosticism. This is pure and simple. Gnosticism, obviously, we know what that is.
The Gnostics thought the flesh was dirty. There's no way God would enter into time, into flesh, because its flesh is dirty. But there's also different types of Gnosticism where there is a God for this earth and a God for heaven. And so God's in heaven and Satan was the God of this earth. And they're having this battle of wits, if you will. I mean, there's a book called The Agony Deceit, and it's about all these this in 1990, so it really exposes a lot of guys like Copeland and Hagen and Robert Tilton, those guys from that time, and guys still from this time. You know what I mean? There's still some of those dudes that are in that book that are around, but some of the best chapters in there were by Michael Horton, who was the editor. You had
R.C. Sproul. His whole chapter talks about that Gnosticism, about the charismatic Pentecost or prosperity gospel is a form of Gnosticism. And then you have Walter Martin's chapter, which is unbelievable. Right before he died, he wrote this. He passed away right after this chapter. I mean, it's pretty compelling what he writes in there, because he actually called out these men privately behind closed doors, and they didn't take his refutation, and he exposes them. It's a really good book. But anyway, it was kind of a side note. Back to old Joseph here, because he's obviously wrong. And but real fast, we're talking about God's sovereignty. We're talking about the people in the prosperity gospel, even some people in our camp. Okay, I will say God didn't allow that to happen. God didn't do that. Was Satan.
Well, did God not say in Exodus 4? I think it's Exodus 4. He says, "Did I not make the blind blind? Do I not make the deaf deaf?" It's him. He's the one that is allowing this to happen. So anyway, and he does it for his glory.
You have in I'll put it on the screen, but it's either 1st or 2nd Samuel, and then 1st or 2nd Chronicles, where you have the two accounts of the same situation, where David goes to number the people against the Lord's. He wanted to build himself up with pride to see how many people he was ruling over, and it says in one instance, it says the devil or Satan incited David to number the people. And then the other account of it, and it says that God moved David to go do it. So you have the agent, which is Satan, and you have the ultimate, which is God, who decrees, so we have to remember that the devil is God's devil. And I don't mean that like God does evil, but nothing can happen without his say so. So you have an example in Job where he wanted to go and actually God pulls him in, like, well, have you considered Job? And he goes, and Satan had to come to him and ask him everything he could do, But anyways, before we get too far off topic, let's see, let's hear his.
Let's see what he sort of did.
I want to take one more deviation. Sorry. Let's go to Deuteronomy. I don't know how to spell Deuteronomy. There we go. Deuteronomy 18. Okay.
Second giving of the law right here. Oh, okay. So you're going to give me the test of a prophet. Yeah. I see what you did there.
So I think this is a good idea. We'll start up in verse 19. So, and whoever will not listen to my words that he speaks, he speaking of the prophets he would raise up, speak in my name, I myself will require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that same prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how may we know a word that the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, and if that word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You need not be afraid of him. Wow. So now we have the thing is with Joseph Prince, you're not really getting. You're getting a bunch of vague words, buzzwords thrown together. Spirit of releasing a new strain of healing. There's going to be a virus, You get a new virus every single year. There's new viruses. Viruses constantly mutate. You're trying to just call a shot. But let's look at a prophet. This is Isaiah 53, right? So this is a famous passage. I mean, this was written 700 years before the birth of Christ,
and before even crucifixion was invented too.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read it, and I'll stop somewhere down. Who has believed what he has heard from us, and whom the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he grew up, he being the suffering servant. This is commonly thought to be the Messiah. This is who he's talking about. And when you hear it, there's also been scholars that have called this. I mean, the early church called this the gospel according to Isaiah. So you have, for before he grew up like a young plant and like a root out of dry ground, he had no form or majesty that we should look at him, no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by man, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as one whom men hid their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs, carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. He was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and by his wounds we are healed. All like sheep have gone astray, we have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Like a lamb he was led to the slaughter, and like a sheep he was silent before his shearers. So he opened not his mouth. By the oppression of his judgment he was taken away. And for a generation who considered him that he was cut off out of the land of the living, stricken for the transgressions of my people. And they have made his grave with the wicked and with the rich man in his death, although had done no violence. I mean, I can continue to go on, and it's you have Jesus at the trial. He doesn't open his mouth. He's silent before him. He's taken the oppression he's taken away in judgment. This generation who considered that he was cut off out of the land of the living. So what happened? But Christ was cut off, and then they made his grave with the wicked. They crucified him like as a common criminal. And what happens? And with a rich man at his death, you have Joseph, the Pharisee, giving him his tomb. His tomb, which is buried with the rich. He had done no violence. I mean, you go further down, and it's like,
it's spot on. I mean, it's spot on. Everything was fulfilled. It was right on.
mean, it may have been confusing to the people hearing it. It's like okay, well, what is that going to look like when it happens? And then when it happens, you're, oh my goodness, that is spot on.
Yeah, no, this isn't some prophecy like Joseph Smith, where he had the prophecy of predicting the Civil War to happen, where the Mormons kind of hang their hat on that. I've heard them say, well, he predicted the Civil War. It's like, you don't think that dude was reading the newspaper every single day to see that war was imminent? I mean, we see that today. I mean, we see stuff in the papers all the time, or not so much papers anymore, but you see, online different articles, whether you're looking at Fox News, CNN, whatever it is, there's always something kind of brewing in the air. There's something percolating that has to do with war. I mean, you don't think that was happening that time? So anyway, but we'll continue with old Joseph and his sweet Wolverine jacket there.
Yeah. That is a Wolverine jacket.
I told you, it's a Wolverine jacket. He's got the kick. He got the kicks to match the stripes. Look at that guy. He's ready to go. All right, let's check out.
Yeah, this is just so you guys know, this is our second recording. We re-recorded and tried to cut it down in time, and it looks like we're going to go over that time somehow.
Yeah, we are. Exactly. Here we go.
All right.
Ebola and other kinds of strains of flu that is virulent against medical treatment and all that. But just let you know that we are in the best of generations. The rapture can happen anytime.
Oh
in
goodness.
A generation that believes.
Dude. This is everyone. This is Jehovah's Witnesses right now, Seventh-day Adventists, the Joseph Prince, obviously. Oh man, I just happen to have this right here. Hey Joseph, if for some reason you're our fifth view, then I actually paid a lot of money for this book, but I will send this to you. I have. Let me see. Yeah, I got some. I will send this to you. I got stamps and everything. Just have your people contact my people, and I'll get this out to you. This is a great book. Everyone should read it. Any premillennial dispensationalist.
Yeah, if we can't read it, if we can't see it, what is it?
Oh, you can't see it? I'll just put it to this one.
There you go. He will have dominion.
Yep. He Shall Have Dominion, a Postmillennial Eschatology by Kenneth Gentry. I encourage you to get this book. If you can't fork out the money, you can go to probably maybe American Vision might have it on PDF form.
Mm-hmm.
Just at least read it, refute it if you can.
Yeah.
Anyways, we don't need to get on to that. So clearly, I mean, that wasn't a prophecy. That was a bunch of buzzwords and playing off of the. He's able to be vague, and he can just play off of stuff that happens all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's COVID-19. They're gonna keep the kids out of school for at least 2 weeks longer. Like, what?
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Well, there's new strains all the time. I mean, SARS was the precursor to COVID-19. I mean, COVID-19 is a mutation of SARS. So it's like, you can call your shot every year and be like, there's going to be a new strain of virus. I mean, you type a new strain of virus in Google, and you're going to get several every year. You know what I mean? So anyway, we got more with Joseph.
No, I think I'm just gonna relax on Joseph. I think right now we actually have. You know what? We'll do this last one. We'll call it quits.
Yeah, full Kenny.
Yeah, I got one more. So.
Well, just real fast. Keep it. Look at old Kenneth, man. 100 years old. 100 years old. He's still going. Well, and the thing to know about about Kenneth Copeland is
Are you rounding down?
That's right.
Nearest 50?
What's that?
Yeah, you're rounding to the nearest 50.
Right,
Rounding
exactly. Yeah, I don't know how these prosperity guys can't speak some young age into existence. It's like Joel Osteen. He's always saying, "I am strong. I am prosperous." You're like, Joel, or he goes, "I am getting younger. I am getting stronger." It's like, Joel, you're not getting younger. That's why you keep pumping your face full of Botox, dude. Come on, let's get real. But one thing to know about this guy, well, Kenny Copeland, for anyone who doesn't know Kenneth, is teaches little God's doctrine. Nowadays, it's known as the New Breed doctrine, which is what Todd White espouses. Kenneth also said that God's a 6'1" man that lives on another
planet, kind of like Mormonism. And he also said that Adam was God manifested in the flesh, which is a similar. I mean, really, it's what Brigham Young taught as well. And this is classic heretic right here. So we're going to see some more heresy from him. Sure, in this clip, so let's check it out.
Well, we had just listened, Brother Hagin.
Brother Hagin, there you go.
The word of the Lord came. So I jumped up.
Pause it. What came to him?
9:24. This is.
Let me see.
What came to him? What did he say?
Let's back it up.
I jumped up and got my notepad.
A little bit further.
So
Man, I'm very good at doing this. Notepad. I apologize for technical difficulties.
That first message, and suddenly, the word of the Lord came to him.
Well, there it is.
There you
he
go.
Gets direct revelation.
Good
stopping point.
So
you can't. Well, yeah, this, and we make light of a lot of stuff, and it's just because it's idiotic, it's dumb. But listen what he's doing to these poor people right now. The word of the Lord came to me. Oh, I don't get word from the Lord. I better trust what this guy says. That's manipulation. And he's manipulating these people. So he does this. I mean, this is a primer for give me your money. Now, I'm not just saying this is where he jumps from this to this. Sometimes he does. But what he's doing is you can't question what this guy says because he's anointed. God is speaking directly through this man.
Right.
Now, and a little bit later when he now says, okay, I know this virus is going to dump your money in my pockets. We can't question it. This is from the,
Yeah,
it's
from the Lord. I mean, and that's the thing too. As I was in the charismatic movement a little bit, like for a short time, I was exposed to it. I wasn't knee deep in it like some people I know. But that was the thing is I had that feeling myself. I was like, wait, this guy says that God spoke to him. I'm not tuned into the right frequency here. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing a voice. And you can sit in a corner as long as you want and be silent and try and listen for it, but you're not going to hear it. I mean, the only way you're going to hear from God is in his word. And if you want to hear his voice, read it out loud.
Read it out loud.
Read it out loud.
All right, let's see what old boy says here.
So I jumped up and got my notepad and wrote it down. 9:24. This disease called COVID-19.
COVID. That's CODIV?
Oh man, him and Joe Biden, man, N1H1. Let's get real.
That CODIV. I gotta back that up just a tiny bit.
We had ourselves some Vicodin and some codeine.
COVID-19.
One more time.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
COVID-19. Yeah, him and Joe Biden got to stop passing notes in class.
Praying have overwhelmed it. Give me all the glory, saith the Spirit of grace. And many, many people will come to know me through it. I'm still Lord over this nation. I'm on the throne, and faith in me changes things.
Okay, this was posted. Oh, look at that little move. He got some.
I'm telling you, man, I can still move for being a 100-year-old man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So look at this. So this was posted March 19th. This was on March 23rd, and we are on March 28th, 2020.
March 13th. Isn't that March 13th?
Yeah. No. I'm talking about the date today, March 28th today.
Oh,
This video was posted on the 19th, and this was on March 13th that he said this. And COVID-19 is alive and kicking and actually getting worse. The doctors have came out and said that we haven't even seen it peak yet.
Unbelievable. You know, this is the same guy who said back in May, I watched this thing, a live stream on Facebook. He said, I'm sitting there, he was running a meeting, we're worshiping the Lord, and God shows up and he tells me, he says, you know what? I never had a serious thought until sin came into the world. What? And God told you that he had never
had a serious thought until sin came into the world. So he wasn't really thinking too much during creation, or what?
You know what I mean?
Or what about the lamb slain before the foundation of the world?
Yeah, right. Come on. Yeah. There was that wasn't serious.
He didn't have to think about that one.
Yeah, he didn't think about. Yeah, exactly. Forget that. Yeah. So there we go. I think that's a wrap on our false prophets of COVID-19. Good grief. We talked about some good stuff. I think we covered some good ground on Leviticus, talking about quarantine being biblical and also obeying our civil magistrates until they try to usurp God. Then we got to stand our ground. We have to. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Now we got to dig our cleats in there, man. And we got to remain in that warrior chamber. I mean, being hidden in God. For sure, because he is the
Sometimes
ultimate.
We gotta exercise a little bark, bite, salt, and light. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, but I think it's important that people see that these people that are the popular ones that are on TV. I mean, they are clouds without water. They are wandering stars.
They are twice dead. I mean, we need to mark these people, and we can do that. And people like to say you shouldn't name names. Like, well, did Jesus not call Herod that fox? Did Paul not rebuke Peter to his face? I mean, we have people naming names all the time.
John calling the Pharisees brood of vipers.
Yeah, whitewashed tombs full of dead man's bones. I mean, we have instances like that everywhere. I mean, people need to be warned about these guys. So, and these gals. I mean, there's a lot of women running around the landscape now.
How dare you assume?
That's right. That's right. Well, shoot, man. Well, I think that's a wrap, man. That was volume 2. So hopefully volume 2. Yeah, hopefully.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. This is Taylor Davidson from Bark, Bite, Salt, and Light. Thank you, as always, Brett Prieto from Warrior Chamber Studios. Be looking for volume 3 of the Quarantine Conversations. Who knows what's going to be on the agenda? Things are changing by the minute here in this crazy world we find ourselves in, but Jesus is still on the throne. He must reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet as a footstool. And then, and only then, will he give the kingdom back over to the Father. Until next time, we out.
Adios.